fourth graders. Today we're going to read chapter 3 of Fourth Grade Rats by Jerry Spinelli. So if you remember last chapter, it ended with Morton. His lunchbox got kind of thrown all over the hallway by, who was it? Gerald Willis. So if you remember Gerald Willis, he kind of kicked his apple down the hall, all of his things down the hallway, and his lunch was everywhere. And he was kind of making fun of him and teasing him for hugging his third grade teacher. And then at the very end, we saw that Joey asked Morton, or he sent him a note saying, hey, let's meet at the tires or at, swings after school. It's a little hint into what's to come. All right, so let's begin with chapter 3. The title is Number 1. Our schoolyard has 2 tire swings. The tires hang on ropes from a bar. You just plunk your rear end on a tire and swing, or just sit if you want. The tires hang almost to the ground. That's so the littlest kids in school can climb on them. And that's the situation me and Joey walked into after school. We were going to powwow at the tire swings, but 2 little kids were already there. They looked like first graders. So have you ever heard the word powwow before? If you have, try to picture in your head what you picture a powwow to be, or maybe where you've heard powwow before. When I picture a powwow, I picture like at the end of a sport or in the middle of a sports game, like a soccer game, the whole team coming together in like a little huddle. Like that's how I picture a powwow, but you might picture something different. It's kind of when you come together to talk about something or go over something. You're going to have a little powwow. Guess we'll have to find another place, I said to Joey. Guess they'll have to find another place, Joey said. He lifted one of the first graders out of his tire, plunked him on the ground, and sat in the tire himself. The first grader's face got red. His ears got red. You rat, he yelled. Joey nodded and smirked. You got that right, kid. All eyes swung to me. Would I do the same as Joey? The kid on the other tire looked feistier than her pal. From the look in her, so what do you think? Do you think that our friend Morton is going to do the same thing that Joey did? Do you think that he is going to go and, plunk this kid who's younger than him off of the tire to take his place? What do you think? The kid on the other tire looked feistier than her pal. From the look in her eyes, you might have thought she was a 10-foot cat and I was a mouse. So it looks like here's a picture of the boys. It looks like, I imagine Joey's the one who stole the tire, who's sitting in the tire at the bottom there, and this is the kid that he knocked out of the tire. And then I imagine Morton to be the one who looks kind of like he feels bad, and then there's a little girl who looks kind of feisty, how they described her. Nobody got a chance to see what I would do, because suddenly the kid bolted, tore out of there, and left the tire swinging on the rope. I realized she may have looked feisty, but she was scared. The other kid took off too, but not before he yelled, "Rat!" and spit at me. Missed by a mile. First graders are not good spitters. Sit down, said Joey. I sat on the tire. I don't feel right about that, I said. About what? About kicking those little kids out. I kept seeing the girl's eyes as she ran. It was the first time anyone had ever been afraid of me. I couldn't figure out how I felt about it. So maybe you've been through a situation like this in school where maybe some of your friends are doing something and it looks bad on you. Maybe they're being mean to someone or teasing someone younger than them, or just doing things that you wouldn't normally do on your own, but you're kind of with them. So it seems like you're doing it as well. And it can be, a hurtful feeling because like you said, someone's scared of you. That's not usually a good feeling. You don't want people to be scared of you. We're all good kids, friendly, and it doesn't feel very good when it feels like someone's scared of you. So I think that is what Morton's going through right now. So try to think if you've ever been in a situation like this where you've maybe been in Morton's situation or maybe you've been in Joey's situation. And how did it make you feel when you were, you know, going through that? Was it a good feeling? Was it a bad feeling? Did you care? Did you not really care? Because it seems to me like one of our characters really cares, right? Morton. And then our other character, he is really embracing it. And we're about to kind of find out why a little more. Suds, Joey said. Remember the 4th of July at the park? What about it? I said. The talent show? Yeah. The bench? Huh? Joey got off his tire. He stood in front of me. The bench we were sitting on to watch the talent show that we didn't sit on for very long. Oh, yeah. It was coming back to me. Some kids kicked us off it. 4th graders, he said. They dumped us off it. They lifted one end of the bench real high so we slid to the ground. I laughed, picturing Joey and me zooming down the bench like it was a sliding board. Man, I forgot all about that. I didn't, said Joey. He wasn't laughing. So, I said, now that I'm a 4th grade rat, I'm supposed to go around dumping little kids off benches? Is that it? So this is interesting. We're getting an idea of kind of why Joey acts the way he does. It sounds like he really remembers some of these experiences from when he wasn't a rat, from when he was younger. And 4th graders, sounds like we're pretty mean to him, right? So that might explain some of his behavior going on now and why he's so passionate about it. He almost feels like he deserves, to be the way that he was treated. So now he's the rat. So he thinks it's just rite of passage. He should be able to be the way that other 4th graders treated him when he was little, which isn't always the best motto to have, because we want to treat people how we want to be treated, not necessarily how they treated us when people weren't very nice to us. So it's really important, to remember that, because it ends up making us feel bad when we're mean to other people. So it's really a lose-lose. There's more to it than that, he said. I started swinging. I'm all. Joey got back on his tire. He matched his swinging to mine. Suds, he said, you're in 4th grade now. That makes you a rat. Stop fighting it. It's nature's way. I can fight it if I want. Yeah? How? I thought for a minute. I'll do rotten in school. I'll do so rotten they'll have to flunk me back to 3rd grade. Forget it, dude. You can't go backwards. Time marches on. I liked being an angel. Joey stopped his swing. He reached over and stopped mine. Suds, you ant brain, angels finish last. What did you ever get out of it, huh? Did anybody ever say, oh, thank you, Suds, you're so nice, you're such an angel, huh? Anybody ever say that? Not exactly, I had to admit. Your mother ever say, oh, Suds, you're such an angel, you don't have to clean your room anymore? Guess not. Are you allowed to stay up late? No. Are you allowed to go anywhere you want by yourself? No. Are you allowed to say no to your mother? Of course not. So this is Joey kind of trying to convince Suds or Morton to, be more like a rat, take advantage of what he has. He's saying, why did you like being an angel so much? It didn't give you anything. So I want us, as we read the next page, kind of think about what are the advantages of what Joey likes, being a rat. What do you think the good parts of that are? And what do you think the good parts are about what Suds likes about being an angel? What do you think kind of the pros and cons are of being in 3rd grade versus 4th grade? He poked my tire. See, that's what I'm talking about. I'm glad you know what you're talking about, I said, because I sure don't. So what are we seeing right now in Morton or Suds? How is he changing his tune? Because he's kind of been strong the whole story, but now he's changing his mind a little bit. What do you think convinced him to say, I don't know what I'm talking about? You know what you're talking about, but I sure don't know what I'm talking about. What do you think kind of convinced him? Sounds like Suds is starting to see all the things he could do if he kind of acted like Joey's acting. He said, well, you could go wherever you wanted, maybe. You wouldn't have to listen to your mom. So he's starting to see maybe the appeal, the good things that could come out of being like this. That's what I think. I'd be curious to see what you thought. I'm talking about growing up, he said. I'm talking about not being an angel baby anymore. I'm talking about taking care of number one for a change. I felt stupid, but I had to ask, who's this number one? He pointed, you, dude, you're number one for you. I'm number one for me. Number one. That sounded good. Maybe there was something to this rat business after all. But what about crying? I said. Why can't I cry or be scared of spiders? He got off his tire. He faced me. He was dead serious. Because real men don't cry. What's men got to do with it? Before you said it's rats that don't cry. That's right, he said. That's the whole point. Being a rat is the next step up to being a man. You want to be a man, don't you? Sure, I said. I guess so. Well, he said, you can't be a man without being a rat first. He poked me in the chest. That's what fourth grade is all about. So what do you think about this, what Joey is saying? Joey's saying, well, first of all, you've got to look out for number one. I think there's something to that. What do you think about that? I think that, at a certain point, we do need to look out for ourselves. But Joey takes it pretty far, right? He's saying that you can't cry if you're a man, which I don't think is true. And he's saying that being a rat is one step before being a man. So in order to be a man, you need to be a rat first. So that's what Joey's trying to say. So he's like, this is kind of like the in-between. Before we're men, we're rats. So it's kind of interesting. I'm not sure about that theory. Except for us, the schoolyard was empty. Parents were calling their kids in to dinner. We headed home. As I walked up the driveway to my house, Joey said, see ya, rat. See ya, I said. Before I reached the door, he rushed back. He grabbed my arm. Don't forget, he whispered. Say no to your mom. So what do you think are the good things about being the rat? What is Joey trying? What is his opinion? And what are the reasons that you think his opinion might be strong? The reasons that, yeah, it would be cool to be a rat. I think that would be fun. Or what do you think about that? And then what do you think the pros were maybe to being an angel? And I know we don't know as much about what it was like being an angel, but based on what they tell us in this story, what do you think would be? Or why would you not want to be a rat? So I'm sure you guys are thinking of way more than me. But so far what I can come up with is, so the good things about being a rat would be that, let's maybe do a chart here. Let's do a Venn diagram. So the good thing about being a rat, I think, let's do a Venn diagram. I think that it sounds like Joey's saying they get what they want more. He's saying that they can kind of do what they want. They don't have to listen to people. So maybe you kind of you follow less rules, don't have to follow the rules. Don't follow the rules. Okay, and then what do we think about being an angel? What would kind of be nice, do you think, about being an angel? I think that it would be nice to be an angel because sometimes it feels really good to be kind to others, and it sounds like that's what the angels were, because there was a part of the book where Joey said, were you ever thanked for everything good you did? So it sounds like, the angels are supposed to be very kind and good, and I think that sometimes that can make you feel good. So I'm trying to think of the words for that. If you are, nice to others, you almost have a clean conscience. There's nothing you're worried about. You don't have a lot of anxiety about things you've done or said to other people. So maybe a clear head / no worries. Because I know that sometimes when, we do things that, like maybe what Joey did, he ran up to that kid, snagged him out of the tire swing, threw him on the ground. If that were me, I would feel guilty about that for a while. And maybe, some people would more than others, or it depends on your age. But I think that would, you would think about that maybe at night, or maybe a week later, maybe a month later, maybe a year later, but that causes some regret. Like, oh, that wasn't like the nicest thing for me to do, right? So I think another good thing about being a rat is that you get to, you kind of maybe get things that other people don't, because they're just got his tire swing, right? Morton or Suds was ready to say, oh, we'll go play somewhere else. But Joey's like, nope, I want to play in that tire swing. I'm going to play in that tire swing. So you kind of get what you want. And then for angels, I think it's probably nice being an angel because other people are a little kinder to you. It sounds like being a rat. Like you've noticed, Morton has been called a rat, and people are usually mean when they're saying it. So people aren't necessarily very nice to the fourth graders. I think it's a little bit because they're scared of them, and for good reason. But I think that it sounds like students are nicer to the third graders because they are angels and they're looked at as like nicer. So I think that people are probably kinder to the third graders. On the other hand, it sounds like the angels might get, probably made fun of. We heard how a fourth grader lifted up the bench on Joey and Morton. So it sounds like third graders could get, a little teasing from the older kids. So we see the pros and cons are, there's a lot of them if you really think about how much goes into it. So I'm sure you've thought of more than me. Feel free to make this chart at home if you would like. For both of them, they both are kind of feel some pain, right? So the rats, they don't follow the rules, but they might kind of pay for it in their own head. They might feel bad. They might feel guilty. The angels, they have to do everything right. It might not always be fair for them. So that might kind of hurt their feelings that they get picked on by the rats and they still are being good kids and being kind. So they're, going through a little pain themselves. So I would say for both of them, they're both, suffering a little bit. Oops. How will we say sad? Both are sad. And then I think both are also happy in some ways, right? Because both of them have good things about being an angel or a rat. Rats, even though Morton right now isn't fully grasping it, it sounds like he may be a little more convinced than he was yesterday in chapter 2. So it might not be so bad to be a rat after all. We'll see. And angels, their teachers seem to like them. They seem to be happy. They seem to be kind to each other. So I think that those two emotions, even though they're complete opposites, would actually go in both. All right, and that is all for today. We will read chapter 4 tomorrow. I hope you guys are having a great day. I'll see you tomorrow.